with the Carolina Panthers find themselves looking down the barrel of the 24-25 season with a few questions about Bryce Young, free agency, and possibly Stefon Gilmore.
Who cares?
We'll discuss all three next on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us on Growlin' and Prowlin'. As you guys know, I am Mr. CeeLo, joining you guys yet again. Just a few days short where we start seeing the young guys trickle in and the official start of the NFL's 24-25 season. But before we get started, I got to give some love to my people as the subscribers keep coming in, you guys. I mean, I'm so grateful, and they're not popping up. Darn you, YouTube. Darn you. But we're not going to sit here and we're not going to linger on about that. We are going to keep doing the work. And we are going to keep coming at you guys because you guys love the content. I love doing it for you guys. Thank you so much for embracing me. We are at 88. We are coming right up on that big triple digits. I never would have thought when I started this almost 14 months ago that I would be where I am. And it's all because of you guys. And I am still working on a logo t-shirt, you guys. So guys, get your name in there so I can get you one. Because what's going to happen is we're going to start making it available. It's going to be very affordable. It's not going to be like a lot of shows where they give you an opportunity to get their material and their merchandise, and it's just so over the top expensive. We don't do that here. We want you guys to go out and be fans of the show and be fans of our show. That's definitely what we want.
Who cares?
But as we get ready to discuss a few things here tonight, one of them being Bryce Young, one of them being free agency, and as I said, you guys, Stefon Gilmore. We have been up 1,600 views in the last 28 days, you guys. And we are up 17 subs in the last 28 days. Now, a lot of you are going to say, oh, that's not a big deal. That's a really big deal. That is a huge big deal. And the reality of it is, you guys, I want you to be able to enjoy the content and be able to give me feedback. And you guys have done a really good job with the feedback. And I've been doing a bad job of getting involved with my groups on Facebook. They've done a great job in commenting and watching the show. And matter of fact, a lot of the guys that are watching and gals that are watching on this show now are from groups on Facebook. So continue to reach out and even put their descriptions in the comments. You know, because we need to be able to help each other. And if you guys have a content creator out there that you really enjoy watching, please feel free. Drop their link down in the comments so I can give them a look, because that's where I like to watch my content. And sometimes I even get show ideas from other content creators. Not necessarily steal their ideas, but somebody may come up with a show that's totally not correct. Such as the tight end show that I did. I hear individuals on Panther News and Cat Crave that talk about we don't have a tight end. We haven't had good tight ends on the show. No, the problem is we haven't had great coaching to get efficient tight end play. See how that works? The players can only do as much as the coaches allow them to. So we've corrected that, and there are more and more Panther Nation fans that understand that we've had quality tight ends on the roster. What can you do if the coaches don't game plan with them in mind? But let's get started on topic number one. which is free agency. Now, many of you don't know there are some serious big-time free agents lurking out there that the Carolina Panthers, if they weren't so, oh man, this hurts me to say. I mean, it really does. This is to not be in a situation where we're one of the bottom teams when it comes to cap space at just over $6 million to spend. And to look, you're looking at dead money. $46 million. Same way with the Broncos, $67 million. And when you start dealing with dead money, that's not good. When you have that much dead money, guess what that means? That's money that you have paid out, but the player's not on your roster. Now, some of you already know what that means, but I'm just explaining that for the audience that may not know. And see, we can look here at some of the top free agents that are available. Now, this is just at cornerback, our weakest spot next to the edge position. You look at this, guys. You got Xavier Howard, Adoree Jackson, and Stefon Gilmore. Now, guys, I do another show called Gridiron Gab Pro Style.
Cut it out.
Right now, a team like the 49ers has just over $25 million in cap space. Can you imagine how good they would be if they snatched up one of these guys? And that is a glaring weakness to them as a cornerback. And the cornerback market is loaded. Yeah! I have already went on record as saying, I don't care how he feels about it. Miles Sanders is not a guy that I was a big fan of. Sorry, call me mean. I don't care. But the reality of it is, Miles Sanders is eating up entirely too much of our cap for a guy who is, all intents and purposes, not a guy who, in my opinion, is not a guy that we necessarily need.
Run.
I'm just going to call it what it is. We don't need him. You can be angry at me. You can disagree with me, and that is fine. I mean, it is what it is at this point. But the truth of the matter is, we don't need him. We don't. You can be angry at me. You can feel however you want about the situation. But the truth is the truth. We can't sit here and try to play favorites when we see two glaring weaknesses that, and this is where I will look at Dan Morgan and ask, how in the heck do you let Frankie Louvu walk out the door? And you've already heard some people say DJ Wanham is going to be the guy that's going to be the bust of this team. That you've already hearing writers say he's going to be a bust.
Dumb shit. Dumb shit.
And I'm not trying to put that on him. I don't want to do that. But unfortunately, it kind of goes with the territory. As you see that we are trying to limit the amount of damage that free agency has done to our defense, and it's done a lot. And whether people want to admit it or not,
what's that?
This is not going to be a fun season. I mean, granted, we signed Rashad Penny, whom is a guy that has been up and down, and it's not been fun. You know, we go back and we look at the roster and we think to ourselves, how can we be paying a guy like Miles Sanders what we're paying him? And I think it's like over $6 million. We can't be doing that. That's just not how it goes. We can't do that. That is just going to put a damper on anything we want to do. We've got to be realistic with ourselves. We have to be realistic with where we are as a franchise. Right now, we are in a serious bind when it comes to cap space. Let's see, we're paying Chuba Hubbard $3 million, and then we're paying Miles Sanders almost over $7.5 million.
What a dumbass.
We're paying $7.5 million to Sanders, and he didn't even touch the ball that much last year. And now you're talking about a rookie coming in here touching the ball. Look, it is what it is. This has to get done.
Bruh.
This has to get done. And I'm not trying to be mean. I know a lot of people are going to say you're just going to throw him away. Look, we don't have a choice in this situation. We really do not. We got to get that secondary corner fixed. We have to. There's no maybe or possibly or no. I mean, look, Dante Jackson's gone. C.J. Henderson's gone. Shaquille Griffin's gone.
What?
There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it, Panther Nation. We got to get it done. Now, I get it. The rookie from Wazoo is looking pretty good. I get it. I totally get it. But the reality is the reality. We have to satisfy this section. We have to satisfy this part of the field because let's even go and look at the edge availability. Because that's another situation that has to be talked about. Guys, I don't like where we are as far as the defense goes. We're not the Kansas City Chiefs. We are not going to be able to get away with a lot of the things other teams get away with because Bryce Young has not proved he has that ability yet, as well as what we have as far as play callers. Now, we have the tools. I honestly believe we have the tools. Right now, as I said, Jonathan Brooks is a backup. Is considered second on the depth chart with Chuba Hubbard there, which I think is totally fair. A lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Chuba hasn't been this. Well, let's back up. Chuba came in right at under 200 pounds when he came into the league. Now he's at 210, and he's made some significant strides to the point. He had 3.8 yards a carry with a bad offensive line last year. You heard me, bad. Corbett and Christensen were not on the field together last season. We brought back the same darn offensive line that we had when we had Steve Wilkes. And we were running like crazy. Which brings me to my next point about D'Onta Foreman. I've been waiting to get this out. I was going to do just a simple show on the running back show. Why did we... I get it. Rashad Penny was probably going to be a much more financially feasible choice. But, see, I'm looking at him, and we arguably could have got this guy for cheaper when he signed with the Cleveland Browns.
Cut it out.
I'm disgusted now because I'm thinking we paid less. We played this just about the same, but Cleveland moved faster.
It's official. You suck.
Do I have a problem with Rashad Penny? No. I honestly know why he was signed. I honestly know why he was signed. The familiarity complex. And that's because he was in Seattle. And honestly, if you're going to... Now, this is the thing. I like Canellis looking at it from... If you can get some of the familiar pieces, do so. But I still think D'Onta Foreman was a better back than Penny. And oh my goodness, you would not have had to take Brooks. You give D'Onta Foreman a good deal. And listen, Brooks might end up being that dude. I get it. But I still remember when we had D'Onta Foreman took over after McCaffrey left. It was almost half the season. It was a couple more games over the halfway mark. But can you believe how he just blew things up? He nearly had 1,000 yards rushing. And he was still splitting carries with Chuba Hubbard.
Say it. Damn, I'm good.
Now, my belief is once you figure out something, and I get it, some of you guys are going to attack me and say, well, maybe he's not the same type of back for this system. I still say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. D'Onta Foreman was the problem. Just saying. As far as the free agency goes, as I said before, guys, we got to get that defensive edge position or that cornerback position fixed. I prefer, because the cornerback is loaded. I say we go ahead and get that fixed. I say we go ahead and take a shot there. Because the defensive, the edge market is just, it's really, I don't want to say it's terrible, but it's not great. I mean, it really is not. It really is not good. I mean, you got Marquise Haynes, who's free. He's been reliable when he's played. And you got Carl Lawson, who's still out there. And you got 37-year-old Bruce Irvin. You got 35-year-old Justin Houston, who is here. 35-year-old Melvin Ingram. They've seen better days. And, of course, you got Shaq Lawson, who's still out there. Yannick Ngakoue, who's still out there. And you got to figure out what it is you want to do. I mean, you could even take a shot on Marcus Golden out of Pittsburgh. Or Tyus Bowser. These are some guys you could get probably at a decent price, at a good number. Tyus Bowser's not a pushover. You run practically the same system. Which is what is so baffling to me, is that you did not take the shot on Frankie Louvu. A guy who is relentless getting to the quarterback. And 90% of the time, when he takes off at the right moment, he gets there. And he makes you pay as the opposing side.
Dumb shit! Dumb shit! Dumb shit!
Or Jeremy Chin. You could have got him at a cheap price. But I honestly see why there was a parting of ways there, because Coach Avero just didn't know how to use them. Didn't know how to use them. But let's move on. Let's segue from free agency to Stefon Gilmore. Now, I was reading an article, and you guys know I already told you guys where I get some of my information. I don't totally get it all from there, but you guys know I read it. And he said he was doing an article on where Stefon Gilmore stands as training camp gets started. As you all know, that he's been linked back to us several times. And Jadeveon Clowney has continuously, from what we hear, has been constantly in his ear, attempting to get him in a good position to come back. And you all know we traded for him in 2021 when it looked like the Carolina Panthers were going to make a turn. I believe that was the year that Christian McCaffrey pulled that hamstring, and that we were just never the same. And it's been a downward spiral ever since. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Gilmore was disrespected and the Panthers don't want to move off any cash. I think ultimately what we're going to have to do is we're going to part ways with Miles Sanders. We have to do that. That was a horrible deal that Fitterer signed, and he should not be getting another spot to do this ever again, because he was horrible here. Horrible. And as I said, I couldn't believe when I saw how old he was. He sent out a quote Tuesday via Josina Anderson, who posted, "There are still some good corners and safeties out there, like Justin Simmons and myself, that are still not signed. Honestly, I'm still being patient and staying ready until teams see what they have in training camp. But you mean to tell me among 32 teams that there are 64 starting corners that are better than me? I don't think that. If teams want to win, I think they should sign the best players. I know I'm still a starter in this league. I started games last season, but the season doesn't start until September. We got a while." End quote. Yes, Stefon Gilmore, you are absolutely right. There are not 64 corners better than you. I would venture to say there's not even 40. I'll even go on a limb to say there's not even 30. Better yet, I'll even say there aren't 20.
So shut up, shithead.
And this is why people were so upset with Dallas last year, is because he was on that team, but they lost their top corner. And that was when that defense went into the toilet. And and I'm not doing this about the Cowboys, but think about it like this, Dan Morgan. If anybody out there has Dan Morgan, has his ear, tell him if Dave Canellis is serious about running the football and maintaining a sense of ball control, you need a Stefon Gilmore. You need a Stefon Gilmore. And I'm going to say it like this. I don't see a bunch of gems in the draft this year. I do see 3 or 4. But here's the reality. If you got to go down the line and trade, make a trade to get some of these guys off your books. Because right now, As it stands, you got $46 million. And if I recall correctly, some of that money is going to fall off next season. I believe. I'm not 100% certain. But we shall check this out. Let's see. Y'all bear with me for just a second. We are going to see if the Carolina Panthers are going to get some relief in cap. Because honestly, when you talk about where we're going as a franchise, we have got... See, it looks like we're going to have all 53 players under contract next season, and we'll be only $16 million over the cap. I mean, under the cap, but we have no dead money. See, that's kind of concerning because you still haven't put Bryce Young under contract, and then you have a decision to make next season whether to deal with his fifth-year option. However, this is where things really start to get interesting. If you're the Carolina Panthers, do you take Stefon Gilmore or an edge player? I would say, that's just me. Would it surprise you? Would you believe that I would take the higher priced corner?
You fucking idiot.
Well, think about it like this. If we can't get pressure, we can maybe cause coverage sacks. Sound good? Does it sound good?
No, I'm afraid I'm going to have to know a little bit more than that.
Speaking of draft picks, the few draft picks that sound good, let's talk about Bryce Young. Now, there are a lot of analysts that say the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young are going for their last hurrah.
You don't get it, do you?
All of this is going to be, the whole Dave Canellis experiment is coming in here to save what Scott Fitterer and company did, what they did in the spring of 2023. That's what they're doing. They're trying to salvage it because the Panthers auctioned a lot for Bryce. When in reality, they ended up in the same position. When you do that, you don't want to end up in the same position you could have ended up with and gave up nothing. And we'll still be paying off that debt. Oh, yeah. Now, the talk is that this is the last opportunity for Bryce Young. I've heard several NFL writers say that if Bryce Young doesn't show serious improvements by this season, or if they end up with a top 5 pick, the preferred pick, unless he just shoots up the board this year, is going to be Shedeur Sanders.
Winner!
Now, however, I don't play the whole coach you-know-who crap. I'm not even want to mention his name. But I love Shedeur Sanders. I think he's a very good mobile quarterback that would prefer to throw the football, use his speed to extend plays and get guys open, which was most of the reason why Colorado was so dangerous in the first couple of weeks of the season, because nobody could understand how this guy was just so elusive and how he did not want to run the football. And then at the end of the season, he was playing tough because his offensive line, for better or for worse, were about a B- or a C line, just to be fair. But he was so good. He was so good, and you've got people looking at him and saying, okay, he's going to be elite when he gets to the next level. It's going to all depend on where he falls. Now, I said that to say this. I think Dave Canellis has the right approach. However, I think we need to run more up-tempo. I said that from the get-go last year. You're going to have to put Bryce in a situation where he's able to catch the defenses off balance and locate the mismatch. Give him, you said when you drafted him or when you did his evaluation, this guy was a very cerebral guy. Why do we need to get him set? Why not put him as a cerebral guy in situations where you give him 3, 4, 5 plays and let him run with it? Let him find the mismatch. Let him create the mismatches with his ability to put guys in motion. Dave Canellis, you're an offensive mind. You've got the speed. on the perimeter. You've got the size on the perimeter. You've even got tight ends that can move on like low tier type wideouts. And you want to run the football. Why not we just go back to some old school? Double tight ends. Shift those tight ends out and go 4 wide that way. Or maybe 2 on one side. Throw some bubble screens. What's the worst thing for a cornerback to see is a big old tight end coming at him. Right? I'm just saying. But do I believe this will be Bryce Young's last year if he doesn't play well and we end up with a top 5 pick? It would be hard to imagine that, because the reality of it is I'm looking at the draft and I'm not seeing a lot of prospects that just woo me. I'm not seeing a lot of them, except 2 quarterbacks, maybe a handful of edge players, and that's it.
Bruh, stop the cap.
I don't know. But all I'm saying is, Canellas, please get the best out of Bryce. We don't want to start this over next season. And if we have to get an edge player. We have to get an edge player. But that's going to do it for us, you guys. Go to Growlin' and Prowlin' and check us out over at Facebook over there. And also, when you guys join the show, we give you a growl out. And I can't do that if I don't know you're joining. YouTube is not doing a good job showing me you guys, as well as commenting down there. If you join the show, take the second just right. You just joined. There's nothing wrong with that. But as we get ready to get out of here, guys, and start the 24-25 season, I hope you guys are safe. We look forward to seeing you yet real soon. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.